Horsham District football, and it is time for us to speak to Big Peter Weir, who's pretty cock-a-hoot about the big win on the weekend. He joins us now. Hey, Weary, how are you?
Yeah, good, Wayne, and yeah, it's great to get the season off to a good start in front of the home crowd that well and truly come out to support us.
Oh, certainly they did. They came out and supported right across the competition, and Harrow and Rupanyu showed that they haven't lost anything from their premiership season because they absolutely thumped Rupanyu 26-11 to 3-6, Weary.
Yeah, they've been a dominant side for a long time now, the Harrow boys, and showed no mercy against Rupanyu round one.
And what about Rupanyu? 22-13, 145 to Nadimak, the sheep boys, 5-6-36. Gee, those barley growers had it well and truly over the sheep growers.
Yeah, we mentioned they've brought in quite a lot of recruits last week, and it was just a wait and see, but they've definitely shown straight away that they're going to be a bit of a force this year in Rupanyu, and that was a great win against Nadimak first up.
It was, and they haven't even brought out their star, Sean Edwards, who had some AFL experience at GWS, Essendon and the Sydney Swans. We'll see whether he fronts, but Shannon Rioli did play for them and kicked a goal, which was good for him. Harrow and Rupanyu came good in 2019 to make a grand final. They continued their form with an 11-11-77 win over the Swiss, 4-6-30.
Yeah, definitely going to continue being that exciting young side they were in 2019, albeit with a bit more experience going into this season. And Swiss outfit's always strong, so to get away with a win against them, they'll be very pleased with.
Very pleased at Eden over Apsley because at home, 13-10-88 to the young Laharam legs, 7-3-45. I reckon the Saints will take that first up.
Yeah, definitely. They had a bit of an unsettled pre-season, I found out during the week, so they would have been a bit anxious going into that game against Laharam. And I see Shannon Argle played a bit of a lone hand for the young Laharam team with 5 goals up front, but Eden Hope were too good. Certainly
too good, and a couple of good players from them in Vanzini and Kelly and Slape, all getting amongst it to produce that win. What about this Caniva-Lior outfit? Their first game at home, they just couldn't quite match it with the Keys. 15-25, 115 to 9-11-65, and 40 scoring shots to 20. It probably says where Caniva are at against one of the premier sides in this competition.
Yeah, there's a lot of score updates coming through from this game because the league's obviously very interested in how the Caniva boys are going to go this year, and obviously it's quite even at three-quarter time, but with that win that was across the state on the weekend, the Kalkee boys obviously come home with that. And as we know, they keep running all day, and that was just too much for the Caniva boys as they outrun them in the last quarter and kicked away for quite a comprehensive victory.
Yeah, Deke Roberts with 3. He's a star of this competition. Motton also with 3, and Hobbs real good. We've called his name over the years. Councillor and Bryan and Mitchell, 2 each for Caniva, and Brown and Jones played well in their first outing in this competition. And finally, in senior football, Japarra Rainbow Storm 10-14-74 beat Taylors Lake 6-9-45. And Weary, I note that Taylors Lake's last quarter was pretty good. Did they shift you to full back and suddenly they kicked 6 goals in the whole quarter? Their whole score almost came in the final quarter.
Yeah, they did. It's just a good reminder in footy that as soon as you get a bit complacent or take your foot off the pedal, no matter how well you think you're going or how much you think on top, footy can come back to bite you. So we definitely did that. The first 3 quarters was outstanding, but just as we thought we had the game won, we found out otherwise. And for another 5 minutes, it could have got real close there in that last quarter. So credit for Taylors Lake for not dropping out of the game and, really giving us a fight in the last quarter.
Weary kicked 5 and Driscoll a couple, and Kirkwood and Ash Clugston, Masland in the better players, and McCulloch a couple for Taylors Lake. It was a good performance there to get up and get that win. But in the reserve grade, well, it just shows that this competition this year is going to be really, really interesting because Taylors Lake had you measured by 12 points.
Yeah, the intensity in that game was very hot early, and I think that just cost our boys because we didn't quite settle down in the first quarter when we had the advantage of the breeze, and then we couldn't quite get the game back all day. But credit to Taylors Lake for bringing the intensity in the twos, and it just shows that, the twos will be a strong competition throughout the league this year.
Yes, it was 5 goals kicked by your fellas, Cousins 3 and Clark 2. They got all the score, and Preston, who's going to be a good junior and maybe push up into senior football, Cox and Jamison in the better players there for the Storm on the day on their home deck at Rainbow. No 17s, but in the 14s, it was a great start to the year by the kids because they actually kicked 5-8-38 to be beaten by Taylors Lake 8-9-57. But I reckon Weary, against a side that's had such a good junior program, you'd take that.
Yeah, you're dead right. It was just so good to see him in the game all day, and that's an experience I haven't really had. A lot of the times have been mercy ruled, but now the boys are a couple of years older. They just put in such a strong showing, and as a forward, you always look to the goal kickers list first up, and it was great to see Caleb Dragenza kick 3 of the boys' goals and get in the best players and provide a real focal point up forward for the under-14 team.
Oh, yes, looking out for your favourites there up forward, Weary. But I thought Clark, Schultz and Fisher, also Young Bone played pretty well too. And Schultz and Clark added single scores in the game. They were really, really at it, and that's great to see from the young Storm kids. Okay, we get to this round of matches. It's round 2 action, and we start up with a game between Harrow and Rupanyu at Cameron Oval. Your tip?
Yeah, the young boys at Harrow will be happy to be at home again, but I think Narrabri will be too good there.
Taylors Lake will take Natimuc United on in the Dock Lake game, and what you saw Taylors Lake's last quarter last week, both sides have lost a game, but gee, Natimuc need a win from somewhere.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game here, and I think if Taylors Lake can take that momentum and confidence of their last quarter against us into this week, they could give Natimuc a real scare, and I reckon this game could go either way, and I'll tip Taylors Lake for an upset.
I'll tell you what, the big improvers are Rupanyu, and they're at home this week, and gee, watch out for the Panthers this year because they take on the league leaders, the Kangaroos, Harrow Balmoral. Many are calling this the match of the round, and gee, what a game it'll be.
Yeah, without a doubt, the match of the round, and there'll be a lot of eyes on this game to see if Rupanyu really are the real deal, and I reckon if there's ever a chance, I know Nick Peakin's out and Michael Close is out for Harrow, so a couple of their prime movers, and I think it's so important against Harrow to get scoreboard pressure, so if Jack Musgrove, the coach of Rupanyu, can stand up again at full forward and kick a bag for Rupanyu, I reckon that could give him every chance in this game, and why not tip another upset and go for the Panthers to come up with an unlikely victory against Harrow.
All right, Caniva or take on the Swifts, and I tell you what, it's a long road trip down there for the Caniva people, and gee, they'll be halfway to Melbourne.
Yeah, whoever did the draws definitely got a sense of humour, giving Caniva stall in their first away trip. But, yeah, it'll be a couple of challenges. That'll be one challenge, getting all the way down to Stall. But they face a fleet-footed team as they would have against Kalkee. So if there was one knock on the Caniva boys that's a bit slow and Kalkee run them off their legs, then they'll have a similar challenge against Stall this weekend at North Park. So on the back of last week's results, we'll tip Stall.
Oh, Edenhope absolutely take on Pimpernio. Chance for the Saints to get a second win in a row. This one is up at Tigerland, but after in the AFL, the Tigers completely blitz the Saints in that competition. What's going to happen this weekend in Horsham District as the Saints take on the Tigers? Oh,
a real danger game, I reckon, for Edenhope. Pimpernio would probably look at the draw at the start of the year and think it's tough first up against Harrow, but I reckon they'd really like their chances against Edenhope. So Edenhope got their season rolling last week, but they're going to want to bring their best footy. Otherwise, Pimpernio could also just sneak in the door there.
And what about this? The final game, Japarra Rainbow, the Storm. You go down against one of your key rivals here in Horsham District football, but in the Wimmera District. And this is the Keys home deck. Can the Storm respond and beat the Keys in a really good match of footy?
Yeah, massive game for us. Kalkee always find their best footy against us, and we know they run in clusters all day, but one thing knowing that, and then it's the other thing to be able to go with them. So, and I believe this year Kalkee have probably got one of the sharpest midfields and most dangerous, as you touched on, Deep Roberts. He kicks goals out of there, and Simon Hobbs has been a class act for a long time in the area. So we're going to definitely get challenged against Kalkee, but that should all point towards a great game of senior footy. And, yeah, the result of this one will be very interesting, but I'd imagine it'll be a close game that could go down to the last 5 minutes, Flo.
Oh, what about the players that you've selected in your senior side? Any new ones that you've been able to add to the list from last week?
No, we should go in unchanged. There are a couple of injury clouds, but I'd imagine they'll get through, Flo, man. But Jay Kirkwood's one to watch. He's named best on ground. He's one of our new fellas from Geelong, and real exciting, energetic half forward. He can take a mark. He's a smaller bloke, but he takes a mark. He's got really good skills, so me and him could become good friends by the end of the year if he keeps kicking it to me the way he did on last weekend. And, yeah, I think he'll be one to watch across the whole league, not just at Japarra Rainbow this season.
Oh, I tell you what, I'm looking forward to seeing whether he kicks it straight over your head through the big white uprights where he goes around you, so to speak. But the twos, we won't go around the Storm of twos because they're going to go out and have a real dip this weekend against the Keys, but they might find that the Keys could just have their measure.
Yeah, once again, it'll be a good game of reserves footy, and a couple of boys like Jode Fuller and Liam Preston and these blokes, Bailey Clark, who sort of missed that top age of under-17s. I feel a bit sorry for them because they're in the reserves at the moment, but I can definitely see senior footy future in them. So hopefully they keep their head high and play some really good footy in the reserves and lead the reserves team around the park in a way and keep putting their hand up for senior selection, because that will be inevitable.
Yeah, I think so. In the 17s, will there be a game with the Keys and the Parrot Rainbow Storm?
Yeah, there is. Unlimited numbers, but it'll be great because Lewis Cox, Murphy Leach, Phoenix Oakley, Paddy O'Halloran, there's some real talent there. Unfortunately, there's just not many numbers, but it'll be great that those boys get a chance to run around the oval and show everyone what they can do.
And the 14s likewise?
Yeah, very much so. They're developing into a real nice little footy team now, and I look forward to their continued development throughout the year. And Kalkee is strong, but our boys are strong as well now, so it'll be an exciting game to kick off the day.
Oh, fantastic, Weary. Always good to get your thoughts on Horsham District football. Round 2 action. We're right back into it. Loving it too, and look forward to next week. The results coming through. We're catching up with you again.
No worries. Thanks very much, mate.